So I hope people are back, and I will put up my screen so we can get started again. Okay, great. Excellent. So I wanted to follow up from the talks to talk about what is CyanoCyc, and just very briefly introduce that, and then the idea of a community curation. So what we're viewing CyanoCyc as is a portal to the cyanobacterial pathway genome databases that are available in BioCyc. So it is geared towards the cyanobacteria and towards the research community, but it's still part of the entire BioCyc collection of databases. And there are over 20,000 of these PGDBs, pathway genome databases. Most of them are microbial. So what are PGDBs in BioCyc? And just very briefly, these are the databases that start out from a published annotated genome, such as those primarily from RefSeq, due to the consistency of the annotations, being brought in and used with pathway tools, which is the backbone computational tools that are used for BioCyc and for building these PGDBs by inferring from the annotated genome the different reactions and pathways, protein complexes, it's, other aspects of the metabolism for the organism. In addition, external data is imported into these databases, such as information from UniProt on protein features, as well as Go terms. So data from multiple external databases to build the PGDBs. And Osnat mentioned the idea of the tiers. And so we do have different tier levels, and those tiers refer to the level of curation. So the extensively curated databases, what that means, it's not a hard and fast definition, but what we take it as is databases that have more than one person year worth of curation. And some, such as EcoCyc and MetaCyc, have many, many years of curation. There are 6 tier 1 databases, and other ones such as YeastCyc also have lots of curation. Tier 2 have some manual curation. So that's anywhere from a month of people years to less than a year. And there are 67 tier 2 databases in BioCyc, 4 of which are cyanobacteria. We have Synechococcus elongatus, the synthetic biology chassis organism, and 3 marine cyanobacteria. And the reason those we're heavy on the marine picocyanos is because those were done in anticipation of the ProSynFest, which we had last year in March. The tier 3, as I said, most of those are microbial, and we have within those tier 3, 273 additional cyanobacterial PGDBs. And one of the things that we're really wanting to emphasize here is that we have cyanobacteria representing many, many genera, and that's to hopefully capture the vast diversity of the cyanobacteria, both metabolically and ecologically. So curation, again, Osnat gave some indication about what curation takes in terms of the community curation. And I just wanted to mention that some of the other things that curators at BioCyc do, which is correcting incomplete computational inferences that might have arisen during the genome annotations, or even the pathway predictions from the pathway tools software, which, none of these are perfect. Also helping with making sure complex protein complexes and transport reaction predictions are correct. Also, one of the big things that curators do is look through the experimental literature, and that is a huge undertaking. And from that, the curators author mini reviews for things such as gene functions, pathways, provide kinetic data that might be available, any regulatory information, updating the different database fields within that organism, making sure that gene names are accurate, providing synonyms for things so people can find them if they're indicated in one publication differently than indicated in another, or names change. So there's a whole lot that goes into the curation, but the curation is very time consuming and costly. And so this is something that BioCyc has to manage. It is very difficult to get public funding for ongoing databases, database support. We do have the two publicly funded databases that are for free, which is EcoCyc and MetaCyc. And MetaCyc, by the way, is not an organismal specific database, but rather universal metabolic reactions and pathways found in all different kinds of organisms are pulled together in MetaCyc, and it's used as the reference database to help with predicting the metabolism for the other organisms. Pathway tools, I mentioned that as the backbone software, and that is also available free to nonprofits. So that could be used as well. But BioCyc needed to move to a subscription model about, I think, 6 years ago. And that subscription model is actually to support the curation effort. So the money from subscriptions goes directly to curation. Just a reminder, BioCyc is through SRI International, which is a nonprofit research organization. We do, with the subscription model, we have institutional as well as personal subscriptions, and we have some new student and lab rates, which I'm going to mention. But also we offer the use of BioCyc free for teaching. So if anyone's interested in that, definitely contact us. When you have a subscription, it allows unlimited access to all of the BioCyc databases and tools. Just to point out, we do have a special discount for all of you who are attending the CyanoCyc Symposium, 30% off. A one-year BioCyc subscription. And if you go to the sign up for the subscription on BioCyc, you can use this coupon code for the 30% off. And but please do so by May 1st. And again, I do want to emphasize that our subscription model is within, quite reasonable, and we have new discounted student rates so that we can help the students who don't have as much money, but also, excuse me, new rates for labs so that if you're you have just a few people in the lab, you can get a group rate for your lab. Make sure you check your institutional library. If they have a subscription, then you can access BioCyc through that subscription. And again, I also want to point out that there's a difference between subscriptions and accounts. So the subscription is paying for access. An account is free, and it allows you to save information that's specific to you, such as smart tables that I'll be talking about, to your account. So you do need an account to use BioCyc, even if you have the subscription. And with the free account, once you sign up, you do get 1 month free to access things, so you could see what you think in the next month. And then if you're interested, you can use the coupon to get a subscription. But I don't want to just focus on that, because we're trying to think about the database and maintaining it and keeping up with the tools and the curations. And we do continue working on getting funding and looking into different funding options. And I just wanted to mention, I mean, we have multiple grant proposals in, but wanted to mention a couple ideas if people are interested in possibly a particular organism that they want curated. We could consider trying to be part of collaborating on a research proposal. There's the possibility of, if an organization's interested in a particular organism that they want curated, maybe do a fee for doing that. So still exploring other ways to keep the funding going for the database. And also we're exploring different ways to curate, because the curation is so time consuming and costly. We're looking for other ways to do that. We do try to collaborate with experts on specific microbes, bringing the expertise in so that what gets curated is high quality. And also, as we saw with Osnat's talk, we're exploring this idea of community curation. And so that gets me to a similar slide, just harking back to the Ultramonas Curate-a-thon that we did just last month, only a few weeks ago. And we wanted to try this model with cyanobacteria. And so we are planning to do this in June. We've got a few months to organize it. So what are the goals? Well, it's very similar to what Osnat talked about before. We want to have a community input into the curation to provide to get high quality metabolic information curated for a cyanobacterium, with the result that we can have a tier 2 PGDB coming out of that will be available for community use, that can be used for more research and more understanding of cyanobacteria. Where we would like to, one of the other things is people who do participate in curating can be one of the database authors and get recognition for that contribution, and also hopefully publishing what we work on and any aspects of discovery and that are figured out during the curation process. So which cyanobacterium are we going to work on? Well, we didn't want to make that decision alone. We wanted people to help us decide which one you think is the most important next cyanobacterium to curate. And we've got a survey that I've written up and I'll provide that you guys could fill out after the symposium and get back to us about which organisms you think would be most important for the next one to be curated. With that, I just want to point out that there's curation is not just a single person that works on it. We have a whole group of people under Peter's direction at the Bioinformatics Research Group of SRI that work on doing curation, but also development and computational tasks that are required for maintaining the databases. There are also, it's also international. We have curators in Australia at Macquarie University and also in Mexico that help with the curation primarily of EcoCyc and some of the other BioCyc PGDBs. So with that, thank you for listening to that little presentation, and I would love to have you feedback on that, as I said, with the survey.